Hi all, I'm Sagar and welcome to my channel. So today, let's continue our RHCSA journey of 60 Power Pack practical questions to achieve your RHCSA exam. So today, in our question number 29, we will see our Linux machine will fail to boot because of the corrupted initramfs. So what the scenario states? A scenario states that a recent system update was interrupted, causing the initramfs image for the current kernel to become corrupted. And after rebooting the server, is unable to locate the root file system and fails to boot normally. So basically what is happening when user is trying to boot the machine fails to boot because of the corrupted initramfs. So before fixing it or before starting the lab, let's just first understand what initramfs is and what role does it play during the system. So initramfs stands for initial RAM file system, and it is a temporary root file system that the Linux kernel loads into the RAM during the early boot process. So basically, it is a small temporary operating system that Linux loads into the RAM before the real operating system starts. So let's understand it. How does initramfs actually works? So to understand it, first let's just see one problem. So when the Linux kernel start, it eventually needs the root file system. But your root file system may be located on a disk or a partition that the kernel cannot access it yet because it requires drivers, file system support or storage layer which are currently not available. So to access your root file system, your real root file system, kernel first uses a temporary environment which is nothing but your init ramfs. So now let's see like what is this temporary root file system init ramfs. So what happens when you boot your machine, when a machine is started, you enter into a grub menu and then you select the kernel image, and once you select the kernel image, then your bootloader or the grub loads the kernel and initramfs into the RAM. Then once it is loaded, then the kernel unpacks the initramfs and uses it as a temporary root file system during early boot. And this initramfs contains a very important, or we can say a main program which is called slash init, and this program runs during the early boot. And once this slash init will be clear to you, all the story we discussed till now will be clear. So let's just see what is this slash init. So this slash init is a main program, as we have told, that is a main program that runs on the early boot. And what it actually do, it performs the three major tasks. And what are those three major tasks? It first prepares the drivers, it finds the root file system for you, it also prepares storage preparation, or you can say it provides the file system support. So what it is doing, basically you can see the in our problem that kernel needs to access your root file system, but kernel was not able to access, even if the kernel knows the where the root file system is located, on which partition it is, but it will not be able to access it because at that point of time it does not have the required drivers and file system support. So let's just see one by one. So what why these drivers are required? Suppose your disk is NVMe, then the kernel needs the NVMe driver to communicate with the NVMe storage controller. Similarly, for the storage preparation or file system support, suppose you got your partition and that partition have the file system type XFS. So the file system support tells the kernel how to understand the file system stored on that particular device. And most importantly, the third very important thing, most importantly, it determines, this slash init determines where exactly your root file system is. And how it determines? Basically it contains a slash init script which uses root equals to kernel parameter, where the root partition detail is mentioned. Anything can mention partition name or UUID, it depends on distro to distro. And the kernel command line is like the kernel command line including the root parameter, like this root parameter is available at proc cmd line. So in it, so let me first show you, then it will be more clear to you. Let's just go to my Linux machine. So this is my Ubuntu machine. My RHEL 10 machine, actually I have corrupted it intentionally. So we just have to see that file. Okay, it is logged out. Let me log in it again. Okay, password is showing wrong. 1 second. 1 2. Okay. So let's just identify, like let's just see this file first, cat proc cmd line. So you can see over here, it has the boot image, it has have the root equals to. So this is the parameter from where your slash init, like search, like your whenever your slash init script runs, it look for this parameter in this here in this file and determines where exactly or which partition is using the root. So you can see here is the UUID mentioned, but to cross verify is does this UUID belongs to our root file system or not. So let's just see lsblk-f. So if I will go, you can see that my slash root is currently mounted over here, and if you will compare this UUID C0290B, it is the same UUID. So I hope you got it till now. So what exact from where it is finding it? So this slash init script is using this kernel parameter to find the root file system, and this root file system, this kernel parameter information is stored under the this file cat proc cmd line. Okay, so now everything is ready. Init have located the real root file system, and it is temporarily mounted within the initramfs environment. We can say that it is mounted at slash new root right now. Now this is very important to understand that the real root file system is located and mounted for now, but also it is currently not on slash root. It is currently on slash new root, which is under initramfs. So basically, I want to say that mounting the real root and switching to the real root are two different steps. So till now, we have only covered the very first step. Till now, the root file system is only mounted to your temporary location, which is at your initramfs level. So now, let's just see the last step. This is the final and important job of initramfs, and which is to transfer the control to the real root file system. So now let's just see at this stage what happens. Basically, at this stage, the real root file system, you know that right now it is mounted at slash new root. So there is a command like switch root. This switch root command makes this slash new root file system the new slash file system, and then starts the init program from real root. So like what this command is exactly doing, it is making your slash new root to the actual new root file system, which is a real root file system, and then it is starting sbin init. And what this like sbin init, this sbin init will make sure and it will start your system D. Basically, if you know this sbin init launches a system D, and then the control, after that the control will be given to the normal boot process. So I hope you got it, what exactly the job of initramfs. So now let's just quickly go to our lab, or I can say let's just quickly go to our machine. So this is my machine, RHEL tell minimal. So I'm going to turn on the machine first. So let's turn on this machine, and let me just quickly keep it like this. I'm going to use the kernel image, and it is getting started. Okay, so in the very beginning it gave us the error. You can see in the bottom, unable to mount root fs on dev mapper RHEL root or unknown backlog, something like it is showing, and that it is this kernel image, it is kernel version it is showing, and showing not tainted. So we know that we already know that our initramfs is corrupted and we need to fix it. So what I'm first going to do is I'm using Linux, I'm using, sorry, Mac. So in Mac there is VMware Fusion. So if you are using Windows, what you can take the step out from the Google how to boot your system with the ISO image. So first so what I'm going to do, I'm going to boot my system with the ISO image first to troubleshoot it. So first, just make sure, let's just shut down my machine. I'm just shutting down. Okay, so now I'm going to first go to settings and see basically my Okay, my ISO image is currently loaded. It is there. I'm going to cross it and I'm going to boot my system to firmware and I'm going to boot it by using this disk. So I'm going to select this EFI VMware Virtual SATA CD-ROM. Done. Now I'm going to hit this troubleshooting. So in every step will be same. Like you would only have to like boot it if you are using Windows. You only have to see the same step how you do it in VMware workstation for Windows. So after that, everything will be same. So rescue a Red Hat Enterprise Linux system. So I'm going there. So let's just wait. We are going into the rescue environment. It is loading. Or if it will take time, I will just cut this part of the video. Okay, it is asking us, okay, here just directly hit 1 to continue, and once you hit 1 it will give you to press any key or enter to enter into the shell. Now I am hitting enter and now I am into the shell. Okay, so now RHEL will detect the installed operating system and it is mounted under the MNT sysroot. So if you want to cross verify it, let's just do BF-H. You can see, 1 second, let me just give it the resolution because, okay, you can see that it is mounted under the MNT sysroot, MNT sysroot boot. Okay, so now let's just enter into this installed system. So to enter, I am just going to use ch root MNT sysroot. 1 second, just give me a second. So I'm just going to use this one and hitting enter. Okay, I'm here. And now it is like ask, 1 second, ask there. Okay, we can just do one thing till then. So before just fixing it, I think it is better to identify, like as we know that our initramfs is corrupted. So let's just try to identify the initramfs image. So I'm going to do ls hyphen ltrh slash boot. So you can see over here that at the end, my init ramfs 6.12 and .img, I have made a backup also above that. And this last image, which my Linux is using, my kernel is using, is have 0 bytes. Let me just hover the cursor over here. It has the 0 bytes, which means like I have intentionally corrupted it. So because of this, your system is not booting up. So what I am going to do, so first I am going to list out the installed kernel. So with that I can do with ls hyphen, or sorry, ls we can do with lib modules. We already have this version 6.12, but just trying to show you there are a lot of what I can say, there are a lot of ways you can list out your kernel. You can see the same kind of same version 6.2055. So what we are going to do next is we have to rebuild the initramfs, and to rebuild the initramfs we have the drawcut command. I think most of you know that. So we are going to rebuild it forcefully, and to rebuild it I'm going to use drawcut and I'm going to give boot. 1 second, and then you have to give your correct image, kernel image. Make sure to give the current kernel image, or sorry, kernel version, this version, initramfs version 6.12. Okay, till here it is, and I'm going to hit img. So I've given, like I have to rebuild this initramfs. So what we have to give, drawcut hyphen hyphen force and the current initramfs image, and then just specify the version. So I have to only specify the version and I will not be able to copy paste it. So I'm going to play with my machine. So I'm just going to give it again initramfs and I'm going to erase it from slash boot 6.12. Okay, I just need the current version That's it. So once I will hit enter, it will take like quite 1 or 2 seconds to rebuild the Initramfs image. Okay, it is still rebuilding. Okay, it is rebuilt. So if you want to cross check before like directly rebooting my machine, let's just do ls-ltrh and let's just see the size again. So if I will see the size again, you can see that it is 26 MB. So I suppose my issue is resolved and I am going to exit and I am going to reboot my machine. Selected the kernel image. Okay, let's wait. Okay, now we like successfully my machine is back. I'm going to log in under it. So you can see we have successfully logged in and let's just cat this machine with cat etc. This is my favorite command. Okay, so we are under our red hat. Our machine is back and I hope you got it. There are a lot of like your init ramfs can be corrupted in a lot of ways. So I've just used one method. I've just used truncate of 0. I will specify to corrupt the init ramfs in the description. So I hope you liked it. Take care till now and I will see you in question number 30.